The next verse is verse 782, and I'm going to miss it out. In fact, I'm going to miss out of quite a few verses. I'm going to miss out from 782 all the way to 821. It's almost as if somebody has slipped the pages of a completely different text into the pages of the Sagaticum. Nobody's realised it and they've just copied it out, and it's become part of the Sagaticum. It's worth reminding ourselves, well, I feel it's worth reminding you about why I'm doing these particular texts. You'll see a few texts on this channel that I've covered. Some nominally Hindu, some nominally Buddhist. My concern is with what these verses are about, what these texts are about. And they're not about conveying conceptual content. They're not about intellectual understanding. These verses are about pointing us to something in our experience which is beyond the mind. It's a bit like how music works. Music isn't addressing itself to our conceptual mind. The conceptual mind can grab onto it and make something of it, but that's not what music's about. Music goes beyond that. Ideally it does anyway. And so too with what I call the wisdom texts. The wisdom texts aren't about mind, they're about pointing to deeper dimensions of our being. And so this is why I'm missing out the next 40 or so verses, because they don't do this. They consist of lists of names and prophecies. They have no wisdom content whatsoever. And I can say this with some confidence, although I'm always happy for people to disagree, and perhaps somebody else might want to make videos in these verses and show where I'm wrong. But I have absolutely no doubt about the nature of these verses that I'm missing out. And I think the verses that I'm missing out are quite well, the next verse I'm going to cover is verse 822, which carries on talking about causation and no birth, which were the themes of recent verses. So it kind of reinforces my theory that this is a page or two from another text which has somehow found its way into the Sagaticum. So let's press on then with 822. Seeking for a cause in the doctrine of no birth. One may say that that which is unborn is born too, and imagine that the no birth theory is thereby established, but this is done in words only. Back in verse 776 the question was asked, how is non-ego possible? And the question here is, as I suppose we could ask, is how is no birth possible? And I said back then that we shouldn't conceptualize these things. Non-ego is not a thing. Non-ego is a realization. And so is no birth. It's not a doctrine. When you express it, it is a doctrine. But when you realize it, It's not a doctrine. As soon as you start talking about no birth, then you could argue that something is born. What is born is the theory or doctrine of no birth. But this is all just words. This is all just words. What is no birth? As I said, it's a realization. It's a realization of the context in which all things arise. That context is accessible through the awareness which is hearing this. And it is this awareness which could be described as no birth, as non-ego, as unborn. It has no qualities itself, because it's what is aware of all qualities. And appreciate that we just use words as an expedient. There are so many words we can use, but when you start talking about the words without the realization, then it becomes a meaningless exercise. So the point here is to come back to this awareness and appreciate. We can appreciate it from the point of view of non-ego, in that it is what gives reality to everything. Things have no reality in themselves. This is their non-ego. And this includes your own personal identity. It's only stories, ideas. This awareness is independent of all that. It's not born and it doesn't die. When you start thinking about it, it does. When you realize it, you cannot give it any qualities relating to time. So let's not talk about it, let's simply realize it. I think I'll leave the next verse to the next video.